Good evening, this is BrassTacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. There's been a big fillip for the Enforcement Directorate today by the Supreme Court. The court has held that the power given to the Enforcement Directorate to make arrests, conduct search and seizures, and attach property are constitutionally valid. The judges also said that challenges to the ED's power of arrest are unfounded because requisite safeguards are already in place. And all of this comes even as the opposition has been alleging that the NDA government, the Modi Sarkar, has been using agencies like the ED, CBI, IT, etc. as instruments of harassment, instruments to harass the opposition. Will the Supreme Court, no less, now upholding the powers of the Enforcement Directorate, will the criticism from the opposition end? But before that, the story of the day so far.
While the Congress continued to protest against the questioning of party President Sonia Gandhi by the Enforcement Directorate over alleged money laundering in the National Herald case, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutional validity of the stringent provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The Supreme Court bench held that the power given to the Enforcement Directorate for making arrests, conducting searches and seizures, and attaching proceeds of crimes are constitutionally valid. The judges said that challenges to the ED's power of arrest are unfounded because requisite safeguards exist. The bench noted that the Enforcement Directorate is not police and therefore statements recorded by them during inquiry are valid evidence. The court also specified that it is not mandatory for Enforcement Directorate officers to disclose the grounds of arrest at the time of detaining an accused, and that it is not necessary to give the ECIR or copy of complaint to the accused because it is an internal document of the Enforcement Directorate. The top court said that the twin provisions for bail under the PMLA are legal and not arbitrary. Minutes after the verdict, BJP President JP Nadda took a swipe at the Congress.
ये न देश के लिए है आवश्यक न ही पार्टी के लिए। ये एक परिवार को बचाने की एक कुत्सित प्रयास है। यह परिवार अपने आप को देश से ऊपर, कानून से ऊपर समझता है। It has been upheld by Supreme Court and we should respect the Constitution, we should respect the law, and we should respect the law of the land.
The Congress in turn accused the centre of misusing investigating agencies.
Misuse of PMLA is concerned. I don't think the Supreme Court has said or could have said that you can continue misusing PMLA.
Petitioners like Congress MP Karti Chidambaram and former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti had argued that unchecked power to arrest the accused without informing them of the grounds of arrest or evidence is unconstitutional. But with the Supreme Court drawing the line, has the bid to save money laundering accused failed?
All right, on the talking point this evening, Tom Vadakkan, spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Ajoy Kumar, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Smita Prakash, editor ANI, Dharmesh K. Tanai is a lawyer, and Shantanu Guha Ray is Asia editor of the Central European News. Let me start with you, Tom. First things first, the Supreme Court bench today has said that the power given to the Enforcement Directorate for making arrests, conducting searches and seizures, and attaching proceeds of crime are constitutionally valid. Now, all of these three cases is what the opposition is saying. The powers that have been given to the Enforcement Directorate via an amendment that your government passed in 2019 were mala fide, were extra-constitutional. The court seems to have denied that or rejected that.
Well, Zaka, that is the reality today. In fact, the Congress party is in a denial mode. The reality is staring at them. Now, the petitioners are, many of them are the accused. And naturally, they will question it. And the Supreme Court, in its wisdom, and which we all accept, has said what it has said. And the question of arrest and the comparison with CRPC and the FIR and the what you call the EPICR, I think that's what they call it. Yeah, that has been compared, and it is not necessary for the accused to be given that because it's a confidential document with input. So this whole argument of where is the FIR? I heard Chidambaram shouting. I heard many panelists, where is the FIR? Now, these are answers that they have got from the Supreme Court. This is not the BJP speaking. This is the highest court of the land speaking. So I think our friends will rest assured. And the profits, I cannot even calculate the profits because right now while I'm speaking, the counting machines are working in Bengal, finding out what are the much more cash that has come in. So to make a judgment of how much money has come through and the laundering aspect that is going on for some time. And I salute the Prime Minister of this country because he talked about his issue of bringing black money back. And here is the process that has started. And there are complaints, naturally. Everybody is complaining. Anybody with black money and laundering business will complain. But yes, our Prime Minister is steadfast in what he said and is following it up.
Oh, I want to ask Dr. Ajoy Kumar, as a Congress spokesperson, as a former police officer, this is what the court said today, that the challenges to the ED's power of arrest are unfounded because requisite safeguards against the misuse of the power of arrest exist. And most importantly, the court also said it is not mandatory for ED officers to disclose the grounds of arrest at the time of an accused being detained. This is something that leaders like your Mr. P. Chidambaram were asking, what are the grounds for which people are being detained. Today, the court has said that the ED does not need to reveal at the time of detention on what grounds people are being arrested.
So, Zaka, a couple of things before. You know, I really appreciate Tom saying that we respect the Supreme Court, because when Nupur Sharma's comments came by the judge of the Supreme Court, then the Bharatiya Janata Party seemed to be grievously wounded and offended. And so it is very convenient when a judgment comes, you know, so-called. And the other issue is, much as the BJP would like to jump around, my biggest fear is, one is that the Supreme Court has said that whether it was to be passed as a money bill, was that a right, and it's a matter of a larger bench to decide. But for people like Tom and all of us in politics, you know, when we think that the chips are on our side, day after tomorrow they will be out of power, the most dangerous thing is to use organization like ED to score political points. I mean, you might be very happy today saying corruption. 100 crores of BJP MLAs in Maharashtra is not a corruption for the ED. The vice president of BJP in Meghalaya running a brothel is not a question. Some of these magical remedy, pharmaceutical, natural therapy companies having 10,000 crores suddenly is not an ED issue. So the question again is, if the ED is only targeting the opposition, and Tom should answer me that, you know, that suddenly the BJP DNA is changed, is so good that all the targets are only the opposition. There has been, I believe there has been 30 times increase in cases in terms of the past few years, and in terms of the ED. But the issue is, what is scary, and you know, let Tom and every BJP or Congress or TMC, everybody be aware that when you stand on the sideline cheering, thinking you're there, when tomorrow you're out of power, the same thing is going to bite you back.
But Dr. Ajoy Kumar, no, when did the Supreme Court call the CBI a caged parrot? When did the moniker Congress Bureau of Investigation come into usage? It was not when the BJP was in power.
And so, and so again, two rights don't make wrong. So Zaka, look, question again is, fundamental issue is, my crime is worse than yours and vice versa, which is taking us down the line. Was it wrong at that time to misuse CBI? Yes. Was it is wrong to misuse ED and CBI now? That's also is wrong.
Okay.
And it's a fact, it's an evolution. So if I'm not good. Well, no, and let me finish one thing. No, I'll just finish with one important, very fundamental question. On the, you know, they say that the Gandhis are not separate. They think they are not accountable. What is more accountable? You've gone for 50 hours of questioning. And it is remarkable that the ED has actually speaking, and I was listening to some lawyer who was a neutral person saying, the questions are 5 or 6. Okay? It takes 1 hour, 2 hours.